Used the work boots on 2 of them and then the weight on the rest. Now he's got something. It ends up being some motor additive, some engine additive. We never could figure out what it was. But he puts it where? Driver's seat, front seat area. So that's where we're going to look for our accelerant evidence. So it's nice to get stuff like this to help you with your origin and cause. Like I said, we're all really good at origin and cause when we got stuff like this. Now he's talking smack to the neighbors who are going to be our witnesses. F you. And he's already got a fire going. Did not use gasoline. He used something like STP, engine additive. And it was his dad's. It was on a shelf behind the house. He's waiting. He's got some flames. It's going now. Throws the boot in there. What did we go back and look for? The boot. That's where we found it, right there in the center console. He's got a boot he threw through the back window after he broke the window with it, and then one he threw in the front seat. We found them both. You're trying to validate in the scene. We had to go back because we did not recognize those boots. What the video is showing you, so you're matching things up. Still tough to identify. Question? We did fingerprint all that stuff, but we had the guy in custody and convicted in 4 days. So screw the fingerprints. We didn't wait for them. He pled guilty right away to avoid a super lengthy sentence. You're going to see what he got. So this fire's going pretty good. Pretty quickly. Yeah, the neighbors called it in almost immediately as soon as they saw smoke. Compton Fire Department rolls all day and all night, so they're very fast. They're super, and they're there in minutes, but this car's gone to the wind by then. And so again, you have the difference here is that all the windows are gone, so you got fully ventilated fire right from the get-go. All right, so much for the video. Now you see why we found certain things that we found. See if I can do this without screwing it up. Kill that. Kill that, I think. Don't know how to take it down now. There it is. Sorry, I did it. Okay, now that is in the rear deck. Remember how did that shoe get in there? It's a steel-toed work shoe. That's what he broke the window with. And it fell in there as he broke the window. That was literally right inside the lift gate. We recognize it as evidence now. We're going to get prints off that? No. It's the dad's work boot. The dad can identify it. But we have a video of him doing that. So that's kind of a nice piece of evidence. I know this seems so painfully obvious, but if you don't do it, the only questions they're going to ask you in court, well, where's this stuff that he was using, Nordskog? You guys were there. You're supposed to know how to do a fire investigation. Where's this weight this guy was using? Yeah, you have a video. This is actually a challenging scene because we don't know how this fire started, to be honest. So video helps in this case. And if you don't have it, you go, I don't know, start it in the car. That's the best I can do. And by the way, we couldn't get any accelerants. He used a small amount of engine additive, not much. And he poured it on the vertical seat, and he said he had to light it like 6 times. He said he couldn't get it lit. So it's not something like gasoline. There's that shoe in the rear deck. You can see the steel toe. There is what? What's that a picture of? The dumbbell that he tried to throw through the back window of the house, and it ended up there, right what the video says. You're just showing a proper crime scene investigation. There it is, EV 1 of 1. All right. Here's homie. He fled the scene. Gangster. Parents gave us a picture. Found him. He's got all kinds of drug and gang crap. So we put that out, and the deputies picked him up that afternoon, actually. He came back. They picked him up down the street. As soon as the fire trucks left, he came back. We had him for arson of property on the arrest. Yes, we did. We purposely chose that vehicle. Now, can we charge him? What else can we charge him with? It's a great question, by the way. What else can we charge him with? Okay, so we got arson of an inhabited structure. We just charged him with the vehicle at one point, and the proper charge would be a 451B in California for occupied structure because there was damage to the house. What else? Yeah, breaking a burglary is what we call it. Burglary of the house. Yeah, he threw that weight through the window. What's a good question for me to ask this guy? I mean, there's no doubt this guy did it. What's a good question for me to ask him though? And you're missing a bigger crime, by the way. When we interview this guy, did he know what? Who asked that question? Did he know if anybody was home? Absolutely. He knew. He goes, "There's nobody in my house. My parents all went to work." That's why he waited down the street for them to leave to work so he could go in the house and steal some wine and some money that they had. And they changed the lock on the house. But what's more important, what did I tell you else is in that driveway? The apartment. There's 2 people trapped in there. We charge him with attempted murder. Then we have to know, did you know there was people? Yes, there's dad's tenants. He's known them for years. He knew them by name. He goes, those people, they're from Mexico. They don't count. So they were there? Yeah, they were yelling. And is there a back door to their house? No. There's the one. What's in front of the one door? A burning car. It's attempted murder. That's what we charge him with. Pled guilty in 4 days. So that is a clear-cut case because that could have easily been a double murder case. Easy. Fire department actually saved those people. They didn't know they were in there. They just slammed this fire down so fast. You'll see, if we play that video, you'll see the firemen come and get the fire out in under 30 seconds. And they put out car fires all the time in Compton. Did this guy have intention to burn those people? No, that's not the point. He knew that they were there, and what he did was so dangerous, so out of, the norm of reality that you were going to charge him with that. They knew it because they were scared. They're afraid to come out. They know that's the crazy son. They're not going to go out. The neighbors are yelling at him. They see it. His odds of getting away with this are nothing, but still, you charge him with all this stuff, and he pled guilty, and I think he got 22 years pleading guilty. Which is like almost 3 years in California, but no.
Question.
No, he got minimum. He had to do a minimum of 14 minimum before he's eligible for. I'm sorry. He could be. Arson's a violent crime. We have a question. Jeff.
From the Zoomers, you mentioned you wanted to go back to the scene to collect the boot. At what point in something like this do you need to get a search warrant?
Great question. Do I need a search warrant? Who owns the vehicle? We, on our department, that's an excellent question, whoever called that in. We, on our department, have the property owner fill out a consent to investigate. It's good for 30 days. We were still standing there in his bedroom looking at the video when we said, "Oh, there's some boots." He goes, "Yeah, those are my work boots. Go find them. They're missing." So they're in the car. So we're still at the scene, monitoring the scene. So it's a great question. If that vehicle was in a tow yard, we towed it away, and now we find out that he threw a gun in there or something else in there that we want to go get, we may need a search warrant. If it's a super serious case, you absolutely always get a search warrant. I know half the arson investigators in the world said, "I don't need one." Yeah, you do. Because you've given up that thing by putting it into a tow yard. So in this case, it's his kid. The owner is very cooperative. They're being just tormented by their oldest son. Yeah. Sure. You're doing a non-intrusive look at it. If it's a place you can legally be at, you can take pictures all you want. Can you reach in and look for evidence? Could you? Probably not without the owner's permission. So yeah, So I know people can't hear you out there, but he's saying that the vehicle was set on fire by the owner and then it started a wildland fire. Yeah, you'd be best placed to get a search warrant for his vehicle. Because if he's the potential suspect, he might let you know, or maybe it's not a good consent, something like that. But the tow yard guys can certainly let you go in and photograph it all you want. So that's one way to start examining that. All right, any questions on that particular case? If you said continuation of custody, so if you want to go into a vehicle after it's been towed from the scene, okay, and then it's going to end up in what, a police impound or a tow yard or something? Yeah, if you're lucky. You can follow it to the tow yard. That's continuation of custody. We've done that. We've followed dead bodies in vehicles to the morgue and processed them inside the morgue garage for convenience of investigation. We're still maintaining the scene. If you've given it up, if you just have the tow truck driver drive off, technically you might need a warrant to re-enter that vehicle, or if the owner's given you permission, then you've got permission. And once they give you permission, you can keep that for as long as you can call them up and say, can I get permission again? They can withdraw that permission, I guess, at some point, but permission is permission. Just document it. Yes, sir.
You want to talk about written versus verbal consent?
Yeah, written versus verbal consent. Consent, most people are going to give you consent. That's just the way it is. They usually do that. Many agencies have a policy. They just have a form on their fire investigation sheet that says, I, property owner, give the fire department permission to enter my house to conduct an investigation. We get that whether we need them or not. And we usually says, and from this day, 30 days forward, to re-enter as needed. They can certainly withdraw that consent 5 minutes later. So we always recommend that you get things in writing. And now, of course, the backside of that is they're going to say, well, I didn't know that they were suspecting me, and they just shoved a piece of paper in my face and said, sign it. And that's for lawyers to figure out. You just say, hey, this is what we do. We have to have permission to enter your property to conduct our investigation. In some cases. Sometimes, as you know, you do not need that written consent. We always advise everything in writing. If you're going to get a statement, a confession, admission, get it in writing. Have them write it sometimes. All right, let's move on to another case here. Okay, pardon me for the ugly colors on this one. This is a case from quite some time ago. And, but we're just going to look at it. It's a case I've never showed before for whatever reason. When you start looking at events, you start profiling immediately. So this happened, the time is correct, 0140 hours in the morning. It's a townhome sort of apartment complex, if you will. Decent quality, not a bad neighborhood. Everything's nice about it. 4 people sleeping in this end unit, and that's the unit that's impacted by fire. Remember what I told you. You're all thinking of, okay, I got to follow the steps outlined in the fire investigation manuals and all this stuff. You got that going on in your head on one side. The other side is your commonsensical side where you're going, boy, this is a gated building with a security gate. I wonder if it's operational. How do you figure that out? Ask them and then operate it. Is there a flaw? Does it not shut all the way? Can it be bypassed? Can an average person or even a non-average person bypass this thing? So you already see that it has a gate, which most city apartments may have. Does it work? Was it working last night? This happened at 1:40 in the morning. Now we're there at 7 in the morning taking photos. You have, so that is part of your analysis of this scene besides all your fire investigation duties. It's on not a major roadway, but a boulevard of sorts. And so it's not real busy. It's sort of dark at night. This happened at 1:40 in the morning. What else would you want to document if you were a prudent investigator? Just say it was a murder that happened here. What else would you want to document? Everything is the answer, but what you want to document is how well lit was this area. So in our photo, you'll see in the next couple of photos, I outline them, you're going to see lights on the outside of the building. They become important in this case. Document that. A homicide detective would. Why not us? Were they on? Do they work at night? Are they on a timer? How do they work? Because it becomes critical in this case because there's an eyewitness to this event. And could they have seen, the question at trials, could they really have seen what they said they saw? Think ahead to trial. So we document, I put a red circle on the outside light on that building. That is very important because it was smashed and broken the day before the event, the night, 24 hours before the event. Persons unknown came up and smashed it. This is actually an area that's not very crime rate. Now I've put a square block around another item, and what is that? It's the keypad for the gate. The gate functions. It functions normally, but there is a keypad. So my potential list of suspects might be about 25 people who have access because somebody came in and started this thing on fire. They threw something through the front window. See where that young man is standing there in the blue shorts? He's standing at the front door to their condo, and the front window is right behind him. We'll get to the picture here. These aren't very good photos. Sorry, I copied them from an old case I had. Now we're looking at the front of the house where that young guy was standing, and that is the front window where the fire started. Stuff was thrown into that window according to the witnesses. 1:40 in the morning, a mother, a daughter, teenage son, and a baby were in this apartment. 3 of them were upstairs. The teenage daughter, the 17-year-old daughter, was sleeping on a sofa below that window. She got gasoline on her, sleeping on that sofa below that window, the bottom window. It's a duplex. So if you walked in that doorway, there's a living room to the right. That's what that window at the lower part is. And then directly in front of that doorway is a stairwell leading upstairs where the other people were sleeping. We've documented the light fixture there. That light fixture was broken the night before the fire too. So what else should I document if I documented those 2 things? He said, example of lights not broken. Absolutely right. And nobody else's. And then the next night, somebody came and threw a firebomb into your house. Coincidence? No. Pre-planning, premeditated attack? Yes. There's the family. That's the 17-year-old daughter who's the eyewitness in the case. Said she's 21. That's how old she was at the time of trial. The mother is, I think she died of cancer. She had going through chemo at the time. That's her on the right. We had to move these people and bring them 100 miles to court every day we went to court. You've seen this guy's picture before. So who's our interviews going to take place? This family, run them. No crimes in this family whatsoever. But they are the victim of this attack. Is it a hate crime? No. This complex has 12 occupants. I think 8 of them are black. There's whites, there's Hispanics. So there's no issues going on. There's no threats. So we have to interview these people. Your first step, what's going on? She said, my ex-husband's doing this. He just got out on parole. He's a crackhead. He wants to get me back, or he wants to, reconnect. Stalker. There he is. So right away, they point to a potential suspect. The daughter, she's like I said, she's older at trial, said, I looked outside, I heard the gate move, it rattled like someone pushed it off its rollers, which is how he bypassed it. She heard somebody attempting to open the lock, and then she saw a heavy set, very strong guy, male. She recognized it as her former stepfather. But the problem was it was pitch dark out because there are no lights there because they were broken the night before. So her story actually had some holes, and the defense exploited that. So they got a big surprise at trial. She goes, it was him. I know it was him. How do you know it was him? I could see him. And I'm talking to her. Her name's Ashley. I go, Ashley, the lights were gone, and that was dark that night. There's no moon. We actually checked the moon. The lights are gone, and the neighbors looked out when they heard something too, and they saw it's just a shadowy figure. She goes, I know it's him. I saw him. She didn't explain how, and it was actually surprised us all in trial. Well, her eyes were, she was watching TV on the couch. She heard it and saw him coming. And when he lit the Molotov, he held it up by his face to throw it. And she goes, he's very distinguished. He has a round face. He's very light skinned, and boom. And she yelled at him out the window. And the neighbors did hear this. I see you, Tyrone. I know that's you. Don't do that. And boom, he threw it right at her face. Molotov cocktail. Broke the window, got gas on her, ignited the couch. She ran and escaped. She ran upstairs. They got trapped, but they made it out. So, attempt murder. She said he had some sort of a firebomb. It took us actually some time to find it. He's a gang member, but it's not really a gang crime. It's a domestic violence crime. He had a bunch of domestic violence. The wife and him worked together at the post office, and he came in and beat his wife half to death in front of 10 postal employees a couple of years before, which is why he went to prison. And so, yeah, this guy's got domestic violence issues. It was prosecuted as a domestic violence case. You have to know this stuff. So here's our scene. One avenue of escape. They made it out windows out the back. There's the chimney effect. That went right up the stairs. This could have easily been a multiple fatal fire. Easily. A lot of damage inside. I know these are fire pictures and they're kind of hard to see. Flashed over in the main room downstairs. And I think that's the only place it did. And that's where the girl was laying on the couch. And some investigators had been there before me. He said, there's nothing here. We can smell a little bit of gas. That's it. Well, we had to take it to the ground and found what we were looking for eventually. So just through the house here. And it had come through the window and dropped down, and it was, you can't hardly see it, but it's in the right-hand photo. It's actually broken half. It's a Molotov cocktail. Part of it is still up in the windowsill. Right here, right-hand photo. And the other part of it dropped on the ground. We were able to piece it back together and prove it still had a wick in it, still prove a Molotov cocktail device. It broke and spilled the gas out, and so it was a slow developing Molotov, which is the only thing that probably saved him. There it is. It melted inward. It's glass. There's part of it. Took actually several hours to find that. Outside, think that's good evidence? Yeah, green. Didn't our last suspects use a green lighter? Oh. Ignition source outside the window, that backs up. She said he lit it right in front of her and then stepped up and she slammed me in the face. It didn't hit her, but the window coming in hit her in the face. She was an excellent witness in court. And you document the house and everything in it. You know, again, we take well over 100 photos of this scene. It's a very small scene, but that people are living there. They, you know, in court, you want to humanize your event. They go, well, that's not part of this method or that. It's part of court. Everybody forgot about these fires 3 months ago that burned half these towns down. You need to show them video, footage of buildings burnt to the ground. Humanize the event again for the jury. Hey, look, these people live here. There's the kid's bed. There's the baby's bedroom. There's the mother's bedroom. And we show them a whole litany of photos and how now it's dirty and burnt and unlivable. And show that these are humans. These are people that live here. Because the defense is going to try and minimize everything this guy did. Wreck their house. Now, and I showed you the video already. We take the device out and we create it and we test it and you document your testing. You can do it here at our training. We have our own range. And so there we are making a Molotov and testing it, filming it multiple times just to show this is how high the flames will reach, typically 11 to 15 feet sometimes. They go away pretty quick. But anyway, so that's the case. It's a very simple thing, but we went into his background and we showed that he has a strong history of domestic violence and that he came the night before and actually broke the lights out in preparation for this attack. So it was a clear premeditated attempted murder. And that weighed heavily on the jury. 7 minutes to convict. And then he threw a little riot in the courtroom. And he went away for, I want to say 18 years, if I remember right. 22 years, 18, something like that. And so that's that case. I know I'm going to go a little bit over. I got time for one more case. It's kind of cool. It's what we call a genius police case. We got to use all of our toys. So I'll try and set this up. I want to show you this because it's a whodunit arson. I'm going to show you a series of videos, I hope. All right, so I forgot how to do this again. Sorry. I know they work because we tested them. Oh, yeah. No, that's the old one. Get rid of that. Dump it. Don't need that. We don't need any of these photos. Start with number, 0. Whatever that is. And I'm going to go through 8 of those real quick. Okay. We're looking at a series of videos. This is a whodunit arson fire. And the target is a pallet yard. And now some of you may have known this. There's this huge pallet yard task force out there for a while. A lot of rumors, a lot of fake rumors, a lot of real stuff that all these pallet yards were burning. Well, we've always had pallet yard fires for a lot of reasons. Some accidents, some not. But we just had a spate of them all through the Southland for a while. This is a pallet yard fire that's clearly not an accident. You're going to see an individual. What's important, I'm going to skip around in the videos. He is there for 2 hours. Boy, how bad are the cops in this area if they can't? This guy's trying to light a fire for 2 hours. All right, he's trying really hard too. So it's an hour and 40 minutes or so eventually. And I'm going to tell you why we want to show some of this stuff. It's not just about catching him, which is what we do eventually. It's about proving that he's sane. You have to think about stuff like that because one of the most common defenses in the arson world is the guy has mental health issues. He's eligible for diversion. He's insane. Is he really? Let's show you his sophistication level. I know there's going to be a lot of dead space in here. I'm going to try and bump this up forward if I can. So the pallet yard is to our right over this fence. It's a pretty high fence. It's 10 or 12 feet high. It's an industrial area of South LA, which is just all industry, scrap yards, pallet yards. Very few people live there. And the streets are roaming with denizens, usually maniacs like this one. What's he doing? All right, he's a ghost. He disappeared. All right. What was he? What can you tell me about that person? It's a guy. Is he carrying anything? He's carrying something in his right hand. Ends up being a Molotov cocktail. He's wearing rubber boots. So we're looking at all the firemen in the area now. He has a very distinctive feminine walk. You'll see it, and people go, "How can you say it?" Because that's what he's got. And we actually had him film. What's that? Now we're looking at the sheriff's guys. It's cute. Here he is again. Odd outfit, middle of the night. So now you're going to see what he's doing. Because the pallet yard people come in the morning and they see a bunch of broken glass in their pallet yard and they go, what the hell is this? And they have a really good security camera system. And so they look at it and they're like, oh my God, somebody tried to burn our place down. Now, did you just see what happened? I left that in there for a reason. Let me see if I can replay that. What did he do? He saw a car coming and he acted like he was taking a leak. He acted, is that an insane person? That's a guy that's thinking. These are the subtle things you have to show. Don't discount this stuff. He was hiding it, secreting this. He's got a Molotov cocktail in his hand. He's got a couple more in the bushes. Now he's looking for something he set down, which is, you'll see what it is. It's very dark on the street. So, I mean, you're looking at infrared. See him hide from the car, the one car that passes by? Good at the defense attorney. He goes, Nordskog, who's in that car? How the hell do I know? They don't throw you off. Don't look at our guy. So he's looking around. He's deliberately doing something here. All right, and it jumps around back to the beginning. Because it's a he. I already gave you that one up. But it might not be. But in this case, I'm not going to string you along. This is a male. What am I trying to show in this one? I know there was something to this. No. Some of these get complicated. I'll skip ahead. All right, so it seems like it's the same stuff over and over. It's not. He's walking back and forth for well over an hour, and now this one's in a loop. All right, let's get to the good stuff. What's he got in his hand? He's got a fireplace lighter. Do you see that? 4 or 5. He's lighting something. Stuck it in his pocket. He actually starts lighting all the vegetation on fire too. It's like a planter, trees and bushes. That's recycling that again. Nope, we saw that. So these are all continuations, and that's the best time he looks up at the camera. What can we do with that? You ever try and freeze videos? What happens? It's garbage. Does this guy look nervous at all? Yeah, he's a little bit crazy. But there's a difference between crazy and insane. And seriously, for prosecution purposes, it's important. He looks up again, and it's really nice now that the fire illuminates him. And there's the first act. He does it 3 or 4 more times. And he's not real happy. Most people that do something like this, their next thing is they're running down the street. Now there's the local garbologist. And what this guy does is he goes up to that truck that's up ahead. There's a box truck right by where that guy on the bike is. And he puts lighter fluid all over it and tries to light the box truck on fire. He spends some time doing that. Try one more here. See if it shows any more. Now he's lighting all the bushes on fire. The box truck's on fire, and 3 different sets of bushes are on fire, and he's already thrown 4 Molotovs. This goes on for an hour and a half to 2 hours. So yeah, you could argue that he's probably half crazy. In one of these videos, and I don't know if I showed it to you, you see him squirting from a bottle. Maybe it's this one. Try this one more. He's got 2. He's got a can of charcoal lighter in his hand. He's going to squirt it. Yes. All right. So that's the event. I've never seen anything like it. It's bizarre. I'm going to show you a few photos from it, not all of them. Where do we go with that? How do we start? Like every other case. Yeah, so we look for more cameras. That it's a crappy area. These are the only businesses on the block that have cameras. This guy arrives on a bicycle. He stays for 2 hours and he leaves on a bicycle. So we process the scenes. Good. And do our interviews, right? Yeah, so let's look at the Molotovs. Did that pop up yet? So maybe I didn't take the video down. I want to take the videos down now and then just go to these photos, these color photos. This will be the last thing I'm doing. So. All right. Thank you. So we get this call, and there is an active pallet yard task force going on. This is a massive pallet yard, by the way. What do you think is going to happen if those things get going? You're going to have a little bit of a fire, yeah. It's going to be a big event. And this is when all these things were going on. We sped down there, did our best thing. Look at the size of that gate. That's a 12-foot fence. It's high quality. There's good quality stuff. And how these pallet yards work, of course, they're making pallets all day, but they do accept broken and pallets from these transients on the street. So we're going, well, he must be a disgruntled customer who you wouldn't buy his pallets from. So our interviews start with the pallet yard employees. They go, we have no threats, nobody. Yeah, well, there's a bunch of drug maniacs, but no disputes with anybody. So they've been there for years. They don't have any disputes with anybody else. That's a lot of pallets. There's one of the devices. One of the yard employees picked it up and set it up right. That's when they go, hey, look what we found out in the yard. Go smell it, and it's lighter fluid, and it's charcoal starter inside of that Mickey's Big Mouth. Now pay attention to the wicks in this case. They're magazine paper from one of those like adult magazines that you buy at the red box on the corner. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? And
what time of year, Ed?
It's January. They're free at the red magazine things. Okay, so take a little bit better picture. You got the Mickey's thing. You got charcoal starter as the fluid, which is also what he was spraying on the bushes. And you got magazines, which is what we found at every fire that he tried to set that night. He tried to set 9 fires. It's glass. Try Mickey's, it's good stuff. Make you sick. There's one that broke. There's one that didn't break. There's 2 on the left side on the floor. There's 2 bottles that broke. They're still good Molotovs. They just didn't function. There's one that did not break. In our report, I actually put this in my report. I said smash the smithereens. Guess that's a real word now. So yeah, smithereens. There it is. My sergeant didn't appreciate that. I go, take a look. He goes, oh yeah, it looks like smithereens. So we can sop up some of that stuff, or better yet, we can get it out of the news or the paper. And so we collect the wicks, all consistent wicks. That's your damage, not much damage. But right next to, as we're doing this scene, these truckers, it's a Mexican trucking company, come out of this yard and they go, hey, come over here. Right next door. He tried to light these trucks on fire. He actually climbed the fence and went in there and tried to light these 3 semis on fire. No easy task. So there's that semi. The saddle tank was open. Guy didn't know there was diesel in there. And he put one of those devices inside of there. The bottle wouldn't fit, but he put the burning wick in there. Good idea. There's the next truck in line. There's the saddle tank. And now he added some other stuff. He left his knife. Actually, he took that from a toolkit. He opened up the tank, and he actually started a fire here. This is remnants of a fire on this saddle tank. And inside of it is a bunch of floating burnt newspaper. So he put burning newspaper in there. That's a nice attempt at arson of a pretty big vehicle. And he did that to 3 semis. Serious attempt, not a sophisticated one, but serious, to burn this. We recreated one of these things. I sort of staged this, but that's his stuff. And it's just, this guy really know what he's doing? Probably not. Outside, same magazine material. The bushes are full of, that's a glove that he had. So that's nice evidence. He climbed over the fence that way. And we have burnt trees. So we got multiple counts of arson. There's the cap to the lighter fluid container. Maybe we got prints. There's the truck. He started the light on fire. He squirted it. It's heavy smelling with, it's all soaked in lighter fluid, all these boards, and they just didn't stay lit. Cold weather near the beach. There's the wicks from the Molotovs in the gutter. He placed some in the gas tank of this truck as well. There it is. This guy was deadly serious, just not very good at it. So the victims have no idea. They got no problems. They don't know anything. The trucking company, they're some brand out of Mexico and nobody knows nothing about nothing. So we got nothing to go on. What do we do to go forward with this case? What do we have tangible in our hands that we can play with? We have the devices. Maybe we can do something. And we get a print, partial print, and DNA off that lone Mickey's Big Mouth bottle. I don't know. That is not a common thing to drink. Now, it's a good point. All the bottles were Mickey's. We get a print. It takes us 7 months to get all this stuff back. Again, several months. I don't know if it was 7 in this case. And we come up with a person who has no connection to this at all. So maybe that's just somebody who picked up that bottle and drank out of it. But we have video. Everybody goes, well, send it to the FBI. They'll make it better. Now, actually, when you start to play the video, it makes it worse. But what we did is we have a graphic forensic artist in our department, and there's a few of them around, that really knows what they're doing and took partial images and made a composite. So I took these video images, and I'll see if I can bring them up. That's the still version of this guy. Sorry. Of course I ruined it. Sorry, I'm going to go backwards. Little help, please. Yeah. I'm done in 3 minutes. I don't know what I did. I just want to go back to those photos right there. Yeah. It's in the same sequence, but I thought I'd just be able to move backwards. I'm going to start here and just move backwards. All right. As long as it's up, let's make it bigger. I was just going to click backwards. All right, so we took some still images, all we could. And did you notice this guy was carrying anything or wearing anything? He didn't, because he's actually carrying a satchel over his shoulder, like a bike messenger would carry. He did arrive on a bike. You'll see in the photos, he's got something strapped over his shoulder. That actually becomes important. He's wearing a gray hoodie. That's one of the better photos of his face. He's a light-skinned male black. No. There's the best photo. Take that to my graphic artist. What can you do? Can you do anything? This is the best we got of this guy. She has special skills, and I'm going to have her come up here and teach a class one day. And she creates a composite, just like a witness gave her stuff. She fills in the rest of this. She's trained in it. She's court certified. And she uses all these photos I've taken and creates that. Some of it's guesswork, some of it's fill it in. And that is actually our suspect. When you see his driver's license, you're going to be blown away. Why can I not find it now? Far away, I go through all these and we'll find it, I think. DNA comes up later. That's him. That, we find him, and that is on his Facebook page. What's he got over his shoulder? He's got a canvas. He's on a bike. He has a lot of photos of himself on a bike, and he's always carrying a bag over his shoulder. That is his photo that he put on Facebook. Gray hoodie, isn't that nice? It's the same hoodie he was wearing the night he did the fires. We identified him through his DNA, got these photos off his websites, his own photos, and he matches very closely the suspect that she had. And there's 20 or 30 photos of the guy. Anyway. Big question to us is why? We have no idea why he did this. He has no connection. He had a prior arson arrest 3 weeks before that. He set a trash can on fire on a metro rail station. So he had a previous fire. Is he a lunatic? We ended up finding out it took a lot of work. What's his connection to this property? His father-in-law was a trucker and used to store vehicles at that property where the truck lot was, like 5 years before. This guy was apparently, he's not talking, was apparently mad at his father-in-law and went back there to burn up the trucks. He accidentally hit the pallet yard. So you never know why. You don't know all this stuff. He's currently in prison in another state on another charge, but we have an active hold on him when he gets out for that. But in this case, we had nothing, and we got DNA that gave us a face eventually, but we also got the same face through a graphic artist and enhanced video. And they're a perfect match. And so it's a really cool case, and why he did it is just a bit of a mystery. He was approached, he's just not talking, not going to talk, not going to give us any closure. Anyway, I brought all this stuff up, and I know I went over, and I apologize. Case making is what we do after you've determined that you actually have an incendiary arson fire. And now you start building cases with basic police work. And then if you got some extra resources and could use some help from the feds or a state agency, you ask for special help. Don't start out with the special toys first. Do basic police work. Do your canvas. Do your interviews. Do your crime scene, of course, obviously first. And then move on. And if you need some sort of extraordinary help, you ask some professionals, homicide detectives, narcs, major crimes people, and maybe they have a method to help you. But go forth and put arsonists in prisons. That's kind of what we're here for. So thank you. I am done.
Ed, real quick, on behalf of CCAI, I just want to thank you for all your consistent dedication and time, and we really appreciate you being here.
Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it. Good luck to you all.